this video, I'm going to show you how to mock up your photos on different sorts of situations so you can see how your photos would be displayed. And so the first example we have here is a frame. This is just an animated frame, but I thought it would make a really good example to start out with. And so I have this photo right here, and I want to put this in the frame. So it's on its own separate layer here. As you can see, I can toggle that on, toggle it off, and I can move it around freely. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually transform it. So I'm going to click Command or Control T, and that'll give me the the free transform box, and now I can size it down. And so all I'm going to do is just size it down enough to where it fits nicely in the frame. Just so happens that this frame fits pretty close to the image size here. So I'm going to expand that out just a little bit. I'm going to click enter, and now you can see it's sitting in there. But if we lower the opacity, we have a little bit of the frame showing. And so what we can do to try to correct that is actually make a layer mask right there. I'm going to get a black brush, and I'm going to make sure the hardness of my brush is roughly around 65, 70, somewhere around there. And all I'm going to do is paint away a slight edge that goes over here away from that layer mask. So just like that. Now you can see I got an edge of the frame there. Do the same thing to the bottom. Just like that. We'll touch up the sides just to make sure. And all this is doing is just making sure the image sits pretty nicely in the frame. So just like that. Now we can increase the opacity, and now we have our photo sitting in the frame. Now to make it a little bit more realistic, what we're going to do is we're going to apply a layer style. So I'm going to double click on that layer. And now I'm going to click a inner shadow, and I'm going to make sure the inner shadow kind of matches the lighting. Unfortunately, this one doesn't have a whole lot of lighting, so we're going to create some here. And you can see this is the preview, so the edge that we're looking for, the shadow, is going to be on this side. I actually want it to be kind of up here on the top left. You can see it kind of changes there. Toggle it on, toggle it off so you can see. And I'm just going to make it just feather out a little bit, increase the or decrease the opacity. So just like that. Now, depending on your scene, you might have to change the angle of the shadow to match where the sun's hitting and all that stuff if you want to make it look a little more realistic. But that's just a simple way of fitting an image inside of a frame. So now we have another example here. What if we have an example where it's angled? And so we have this photo right here, and we want to pop that on top of this little iPad here. So now what we're going to do is do the same thing, Command or Control T, and I'm going to size it down, and I'm going to rotate it. So I'm going to click over here and just kind of rotate it around. But as you can see, even if we rotate it, it doesn't fit the exact proportions. So what we got to do is actually do a distort. So I'm going to expand it out as much as I can to where it kind of fits here. So roughly right around there. Now I'm going to right click, and I'm going to choose distort. So I'm going to do the same thing kind of with the other one. I'm going to make it fit here. I'm just going to go to each corner, just like that. It will stretch out the image just a little bit, but that's okay. Right there, and all I'm doing is matching up the corners. Right there, and this last one right here. And we can just kind of check to make sure we're not missing anything. We can probably drag this one down a little bit. Right there, and let's go right there. Now we click enter, and now our image is on top of the iPad image. So what we need to do is do almost the exact same thing we did for the previous one. So what we're going to do is do a layer style, and this one doesn't have to be too drastic. So we're just going to take the distance up a little bit, size just a little bit to make it spread around here. And all we're doing is creating the illusion that it's in the iPad and not sitting on top. So roughly right around there. Now one last thing we can do just to help out with the shadow area is you can see we have a shadow here, so that means the light should be coming this direction. So what I'm going to do is create a blank layer, and I'm going to clip this blank layer to the picture layer. So to do that, I'm going to hold the Alt or Option key, and you can see it changes to a box with an arrow. I'm going to click in between those layers. So now anything that I paint on this layer is going to only affect the photo. And so now I'm going to get a white brush. I'm going to get a fairly large white brush, and I'm going to make the hardness all the way down to 0. I'm going to expand the brush pretty large here. And I'm going to click once roughly right there, and that's going to make it really bright in this area. And now I'm just going to lower the opacity. And what that does is just give you a hint of a little bit of sun hitting the iPad, kind of making a small glare, but then evening out over here, and that's kind of helping with the realism there. So now you can see two different methods of putting your photos into situations, mocking them up to see how they might look. Thank you guys for joining me in this tutorial. This is Jordan from Sleeklens.com, and I'll see you in the next video.